Hi, it's Fingers from 102.3 WBAB, Long Island's only classic rock, and we are here in a moment of history. Anybody that grew up in the concert scene, the nightclub scene back in the 70s and 80s knows what it was like to see so many wonderful bands and so many great venues. And we had bands like Stanton Anderson Band and Twisted Sister and Otter Creek and Equinox and Rat Race Choir, Zebra, Whitefire, Vixen, all playing 6-7 nights a week at a different club every night. And there were clubs like Speaks and Hammerheads and The Factory and Mothers and the Mad Hatter and the OBIs. And there was never a rocker having an empty space to go. There was always an opportunity to go out and play. And we're here today to talk about those old days as a preface to an event that's coming up at Mulcahy's on December 1st and 2nd, where we're not only going to see Vixen and Whitefire do sets that they rarely get a chance to do and that we rarely get a chance to see. Zebra is celebrating their 40th anniversary of coming to Long Island, and they're going to play their debut album in its entirety. And if you will, the icing on the cake is the 1970s version, the original version of Rat Race Choir getting back together to do a single set. This is your opportunity to catch up on this, and the only one. The current iteration of Rat Race Choir features Lawrence McGowan, just like it did back in the day. He is with us. Also Mark Hitt, he is with us. And we got Randy from Zebra, and we got Rick Muser from Whitefire, and Joel Fricks from Vixen. And all of us have crossed paths throughout our careers, either me being in the front of the stage, yelling and screaming how great you are, or me being on the stage, plugging in your lights, or working now in radio and getting up on stage and having the honor to bring your bands on. And it's been a great ride for me. And I thought it would be fun to get together and share what it was like to the people that grew up with us and recount some of the memories of what it was like. And I want to start with Rat Race Choir, for the simple fact that you guys are doing something that hasn't gotten done in a few decades. And Larry, I'll let you start because you've had Rat Race Choir in the current iteration going for quite some time. And now
15 years, yeah.
And Mark Hitt is coming into the band, and the original guys are getting back together. And how does it feel to know that you're going to be on the same stages back in the 70s with the same cats?
For me personally, I would say it's like when you have really good friends that you're just tight. When you separate and you go your separate ways, all right. When you come back, it's like you can just start the conversation where we left off, and it picks up and it goes from there, and it's like it never, you know what I'm saying? It just,
Sure.
It's there.
It's like family.
We went into our first rehearsal. There are things that all of us, I were a little, oh God, I don't remember that cue or what, but all of us, we were all playing. Like we just sat down. It was like we were all going to sit down and have a big meal. But it came out. It's just, we hadn't done it in like 20 years. And all of a sudden, there it was again. It just popped up.
Muscle memory is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Especially the muscle between your ears.
Some of us along the way have lost a little bit of that. But thankfully,
it comes and goes.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't do that in the middle of the set, we're okay.
Oh,
well, that's happened too.
It's like, I've gotten gutter balls and they bounced out of the gutter and gotten strikes. So,
hey man, when the gutter ball comes, the auto smile.
I meant to do that. The old Pee Wee Herman.
Absolutely.
I've learned by being on the side of the stage as well as in front of the stage and behind the stage over the years that you can see when somebody misses a step just by watching the other guys in the band look at each other.
Oh, yeah. Right.
That's true.
You wouldn't necessarily hear it, but you'd see their face.
It'd be something that the audience is totally unaware of, and you see somebody with a beat or a note or something.
Missed the cue, and now it's going around another loop. And we're trying to end this on, would you please hurry up? Get it right now. Okay.
So another special part of the night is obviously Zebra. I mean, out of all the bands that toured back then, Twisted Sister and Zebra have been the ones that have, for lack of a better phrase, put Long Island on the map. And along with artists like Billy Joel, Pat Benatar, you guys have shown people that a band can come into the nightclub scene and have longevity. And it's not just because of what you do up on stage, but it's because of the music that you write. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the songs. And the 40th anniversary of you guys coming to the island, and I don't remember the exact year that your debut album came out, but you're going to play that in its entirety. And I believe that's for the first time, correct?
No, it's not the first time we've done it in its entirety.
Okay.
But we've done it once or twice before. But
On Long Island?
On Long Island, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we have. It'll be, for us, it's the 40th anniversary of coming here and having, the 4 guys that were there. I mean, to think that there's 7 of us from those first 2 gigs that we did on Grand Avenue. What was it called then? The 1890s Club? 1890s on New Year's Eve, yeah. To think that we're even all 4 still here, because we're getting up there. It's an amazing thing. So
what are the odds?
Yeah. And, with so many people, like Felix calls what we're in right now the dead zone. You wake up every day and somebody else is gone, but we're all still here, and it's just amazing. And to be able to celebrate it with, such great friends.
With 7 out of 7.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then
Lucky number.
And then
We'll
having
get
these
that
guys,
lotto
Rick and I know each other a long, long time now, and got to know each other better, since that time period, and Joel, of course, and it's just great, that we're having all these bands are still around. We got Bonnie Parker's going to be there too, which is going to be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
one,
great.
One of the highlights of going to see a Zebras set, it was great that you had your own music, and a lot of the bands back then had a couple of originals, but really based themselves on the cover songs and stuff. Certain bands like you and Twisted stuff rose to the top with their songwriting. But one of the things that was really sought after was your Led Zeppelin set.
Yeah. Let me say something about that. We were kind of sneaky. We'd come up, and everybody had original songs, I think. Most bands did. I know Rat Race did. And what I would see, even in Louisiana and up here, is that when a band who was really known for covers would do an original song, they'd make an announcement about it. We're going to do one of our songs. That wasn't what we did. We would just play it. Because half the club owners didn't want you doing original stuff anyway.
Right.
They complained. So if you didn't say anything, they wouldn't know.
They didn't know.
And it was a good way for us to get honest feedback from people, because if they asked you what the song was,
Right, then
instead of you going out and go, well, how did you like our song? And they're going to go, oh, we loved it. No, that's not. The honest feedback is when somebody asks, what is that song? You've played it a couple of times. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, it's off
And
the Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
It isn't out yet.
Right.
A lot of times, if you announced that you were going to do your own song, your fans would be all peppered for it. The rest would go to the bar.
Or the bathroom.
Exactly.
Or the bathroom,
The bathroom.
Yeah. But we were just fortunate. There was a lot of great. I know Rat Race had some phenomenal original material. And we were just fortunate enough to get the deal. But they worked for it too. I don't know how much Rick wrote or Joel wrote, but I'm sure that was the concept back then. Everybody wanted to make it, but we were in a circuit where you were required to do the cover stuff. And
We'll be playing a vast amount of that night. Too.
Cool.
Randy, I can't believe Felix, when we did 1890s, and you were featured with us. It turned out he came up to me after the first set, and he's shaking my hand like vigorously. And he goes, I thought you were the roadie for the band. I said, I was. But I also performed too. I had to set all those keyboards up and get the wiring right.
But I'm also a client.
Right, exactly. The Nuts Club. Right.
It's great.
But just to close the loop on where I was going was that
Yeah.
you also, your popularity was how well you guys did at Led Zeppelin songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so on this event that we're doing on the first and second of Mulcahy's, you're doing that album in its entirety, and you're also doing a Led Zeppelin set.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a set of Led Zeppelin, and there's going to be a lot of surprises in that set. And and with the Zebra set, we're going to do some selections from all the records, besides doing the first record all the way just straight through, because that's only 38 minutes.
Now, when I first met you, it was at a club. I had seen you a bunch of times at Hammerheads, Blackbeards, and different places. But I first met you at Speaks. And that was my favorite club to go to.
Twisted.
Yeah. Detective and the song Grim Reaper. And I was roadieing and doing lights for Whitefire. And there was something wrong with the PA. And you helped facilitate the band playing through the house PA.
I remember,
you remember
that.
that?
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that's so cool because we were so used to, Rick, you'll remember, a lot of times you play with bands and nobody wanted to play nice. You know, there was a certain amount of like, that's ours, you can't use it, and my drum set's not moving, and my amp can't go on top of yours. And
that was Essence we were playing with.
You know, and there was just, different kinds of things like that. And you, who was, to us, was like up here, was so gracious and so kind and knowledgeable that you helped us work out. And the set went off and without a hitch, and it sounded great. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And Rick, working for Whitefire, I started by being a fan. Rum bottles were closest to my house, so it was less of a problem driving home. And I'd go stand in front of the stage and constantly scream Strutter. They were like the only band that would play Kiss besides Rock and Roll All Night.
Wow.
And one night they had a faux pas where the bass player stepped on one of the XLR plugs. It disconnected Roy, the singer's mic that was across the stage. And all of a sudden, the sound guy's all the way in the back. The club is packed, and everybody's like, I don't know. And I'm like,
There it is.
it's right there. And I'm like, in a 30-second decision, I'm either going to get my ass thrown out going on the stage, or I'm going to solve this problem. And I army crawl across the stage, and I plug it in. It makes this big pop, and the set goes on. And at the end of this set, they come over and they buy me a drink and say thanks. And 2 weeks later, I'm at the same place for another show, and they're like, you know how to do lights? Because our light guy's leaving. And I was like, I took electricity in high school. And that was it. 2 gigs later, they named me Fingers, and the rest, as they say, is history.
That's right, because it was like a keyboard. It was like a typewriter, the light board.
Oh, okay.
And as we're going through the circles with Whitefire, and you guys had your originals too, and Jerry and Jerry Korn and
Paul
Barkin were your managers.
That's right.
And they were trying to get you a deal, and you had to do it again, and This Can't Be, and other cool songs along the way. And I fell in love with those songs, and that's what I was a music person. I liked seeing bands that did cover songs well, and I liked seeing bands that did their own music. And it was like rock, progressive rock, straight rock. And then I ran into Joel and his band, and it's this new wave, high energy rock and roll with the spandex and the makeup and the freaking hair. And the funny thing is that we had crossed paths just from me looking from the stage once or twice through the day, but it wasn't until Beggar's Opera where I left Whitefire to start DJing at Beggar's Opera. I had the balls to go up to the owner and go, your DJ sucks. Me and this DJ are like, we're good buddies right now, but he played every song that was 11 minutes long, and when he spoke in the mic, you couldn't hear what he said.
Who was that?
His name was Doug Seacat, and he joined the Air Force, and he's a very successful cat.
In the DJ booth, you had to climb 3 stories up.
The DJ booth was a fire escape because the whole place was owned by firemen.
Right.
And
did everyone know that?
I don't know, but I had to go to school to learn how to do CPR and to do fire rescue, because I was going to be the point guy if anything happened in the club. So they made me go to this thing, get certified and all that. It was like, wow, it's like a real job.
How did they get past the fire marshal for that bowling alley they had downstairs?
Downstairs, right?
That's
right.
The bowling alley was where everybody went to do blow and
they had those giant urinals. Remember those? And it was like a 1930s bathroom down there. Do you remember that?
I just remember the
It
whole
was
thing.
it was a secret passageway.
See, if you remember, there was a pool hall above it.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just remember the bowling.
A pool hall above it, a bowling alley below it, and it was originally called Beggar's Banquet, and it was a catering hall. And then they took it over and made it Beggar's Opera. And then I think after that, it turned into a church. And how the walls stayed up, I don't know.
I wonder how many of the same clientele in the church.
It originally was called the Community Center or something like that.
Community house or something,
like that. Because my father grew up in Jamaica and actually used to go there when he was a kid. So when I told him that we were playing it was like a total time warp.
Wow.
Yeah. But that basement was unbelievable. There.
So I start working at Vegas Opera, and Vixen comes in, and it's great because it's like out of the pocket, and you're talking about 78 to 80. I worked for Wi-Fi, so 80, 81, 82
Right.
is Vixen.
Right.
And that's when the Cars were popping, and Joe Jackson and the Police were all, on their second round of records, and everybody was just like getting into this whole new wave thing.
Right.
And you guys were knocking it out of the park, and you had original songs.
We did.
And it's such a weird thing, but Joel and I had long hair like Joel, like as long as Randy's is now. And we would walk past, he'd be on stage, and I'd be walking across the room, and he'd look down at me, and I'd look at him, and we'd go, and I don't even know what it meant. We still do it. But Billy and George and Ernie and all those guys, you guys had so much fun, playing in those gigs, and it's really cool to see all of these bands come back together and play together. I mean, this is an opportunity. If you have not got tickets yet, don't wait. The last time we did this, there were a lot of people standing outside crying because
I was getting phone calls in the dressing room.
I'm outside.
Listen, Ray, and these are good friends. Is there anything you can do? And I started off by sending, because they wanted to just buy tickets.
Right.
And I started sending out the road crew to just bring them specifically in until people in the line started to get the idea that there was some favoritism going on. And we had to stop. We had to stop it.
What a surprise! Oh my God!
Hey,
Hey, you know somebody.
It actually was a shame that we didn't have 2 nights last time because to give everyone
Just to
a
get
chance
everybody
to
in.
have the opportunity.
Well, I think that's why Dave, who's the promoter that put this whole thing together, did 2 nights because want to give everybody a chance, and it's right before the holidays, and it truly is a cool little holiday gift to give to somebody that you are either in a relationship with or friends with that grew up back in those times, because this is a chance to go. I mean, it's already over. I think 3/4 sold out on both nights, and if you get yourself tickets, do it now because you're going to see all your old friends.
That slice of life.
Last time, I can't believe how many people I saw that I haven't seen in 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's definitely a homecoming, a reunion. It's like the
yeah.
whole 9 yards. The one thing we did get complaints about last time was that it was too crowded.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time we're going to limit the amount of people. We're cutting it by almost 250 people, the amount of people that were in there last time.
So now there's only 10,000.
Right, exactly. But we're really, it's a lot of people. 250 is a lot, so it'll be more comfortable because there were people that were just complaining it's just too crowded.
They needed a cattle prod to get a drink.
Yeah,
They didn't need it to
back
be.
in the day, it didn't bother us. You just were so sweaty, you slipped through the crowd. You got your drink. Now I'm like, I'm 40.
It doesn't need to be that. We don't need to be that nostalgic, right?
You don't have to be nostalgic like we were at Sundance. Walking through 2 inches of water to get to the bathroom.
Oh.
In Bayshore,
Yeah.
it's not just about the people that grew up with it. It's about the people that really need to go see it. So we need the younger people to come down and really see what it was like in the days when music was king, when music meant something. Mm-hmm. When music was great, and
Before Netflix.
Yeah, and laptops.
and they're going to
and
appreciate
iPhones.
it because you have now one of the best bills I've ever seen of bands: Rat Race Choir, Zebra, Whitefire, and Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
So, young people, that means everyone. If you're under 70, please come on out and just have a great time on Friday and Saturday. You can't beat it.
Yeah, and the place is a great venue. Okay, he has a huge stage,
Great sound system.
professional staff, and
It's beautiful there.
there's no problem getting a drink there. That's for sure. They got 3 bars.
Yeah, I was going to say it's important to get to the gig, get to whichever night you're going, and I'd encourage Friday and Saturday because it's going to be 2 different things. Get there early because based upon that last show that Zebra and Vixen did together, I mean, it was like they were talking about earlier. It was packed to the gills. There'll be less people allowed in the club this time, but the bands are going to go on early. I would get there no later than 7 o'clock. I think that's when the doors open. I would be there at 7. And since I have the floor for a minute, what I wanted to also say was it's a great honor to be playing with Randy and Rat Race Choir. Back in the day, we were all booked by the same booking agency, and CTA out of Westchester. And back then, the top bands were Zebra, Twisted Sister, Rat Race Choir, and the Good Rats. They were the top 4 bands. And it was a completely different scene at the time. I mean, you could actually, you could make a living playing in a rock band, believe it or not. Most of us were working 5, 6, sometimes 7 nights a week. And just by happenstance, sometimes we didn't get to see some of our colleagues perform. I never got to see you guys until you did that reunion at Speaks 20 years ago. Probably the last time you played together as a band.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, it was you guys. Did you play that night?
Yeah.
Zebra and Twisted Sister, right?
It was D. Snyder, but Twisted.
Oh, right.
came
It
on,
was right.
you
It
know,
was D. Right. They
so
came on stage.
4 out of
Right.
5.
Right. So right.
Members.
Yeah. I don't think the Good Rats played.
They did.
They
The
did. So
Good
it was
Rats.
before you. All right. So the 4 top bands from Long Island played together 20 years ago. That was the first time that I got to see Rat Race Choir because we were all working so much.
With a little mouse on the wheel, you know.
Yeah.
You're always,
If you recall, in Wantaw, there was the Wantaw strip that actually had 3 clubs within walking distance, and they painted,
the footprints.
they painted footprints
That's
on the sidewalk for you to follow to the next club. So if a band went on break, you followed the footprints and went to the next band.
Did that many a
Yeah,
time.
it was crazy.
What clubs were those? I mean,
Yeah.
Max's,
Was it-
There was
Yeah.
Max's.
Wizards?
1890, was it 1890?
Was Wizards one of them, or Blackbeards?
I think Blackbeard's was one of them.
Yeah.
Grand Avenue.
I
And
just
then,
remember
was it the
footprints.
original
Yeah.
Hammerheads?
Grand,
No, that was
on
in.
Grand Avenue?
That was.
that was Grand
That's
Avenue.
I don't remember the names of the streets,
All-
man.
all
I can't remember the
What
names of the
was-
clubs and the
what was-
bands.
What were the 3
No.
places? What
Yeah.
area of the island was it?
It was Max's 1890s Club, and I don't remember the third one.
wasn't there a disco club that I thought Larry was it Bastille? What was this?
Basile, Larry
Phil
Basile.
Basile?
Yeah.
Phil
Phil
Basile.
Phil
Yeah.
Basile.
Then he owned like another like very elegant kind of.
Wasn't that Channel 80s?
Channel 8.
Yeah, that was
one.
later
Yes.
Yeah.
That was later
Maybe
on.
so,
Oh.
maybe so.
That was like with the resurgence of disco
And
coming
Rumors, I
back
think,
and stuff.
was-
So
Just to
so
get-
anyway, just to finish my point. So
Yes, Floyd.
So I wanted to say, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of Joel as well. It really is an honor. We appreciate you guys inviting us to play. We're so pumped. We can't wait, and I can't wait to see you guys in particular because I haven't seen you in so long. So we're really
They
excited.
haven't
about it.
either.
And neither has Long Island.
Yeah.
You know, and your opportunity is this night. It's the 1st and 2nd of December. You can go look at clubloaded.com. You can go to WBAB.com for information, or you can go to Mulcahy's and get your tickets as well. Just to give a little painting of what it was like back in the day, just for one club, Speaks. Okay? They put themselves in the picture of the commercial as the biggest and the best, right? This is their lineup. Monday night, Stanton Anderson Band. Great band. Tuesdays, Zebra. Wednesdays, Rat Race Choir. Thursdays, Twisted Sister. And then Friday, they had Bonnie Parker and American Tears. And Saturday was Baby and Swift Kick.
Oh God,
wow.
Lady Man.
Swift Kick.
Dennis.
Another great band. Johnny Pashota and those guys, man. He's doing his Scarecrow thing now, but I'll tell you, those just think about that. These bands that were so big back
Absolutely.
then
What year
Yeah.
was that
are
lineup?
playing all together. It's an ad from
78.
Speaks that's probably back in
2016?
'78.
Summer of 78.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I
Actually-
remember seeing Billy Joel in a group called the Hassles.
It's from January.
That's
December.
Speaks, but it was called the Action House.
This is from the
Right
issue
before
of Good
Speaks.
Times. And that's another thing. Remember back in the day to find out where everybody was playing. If it wasn't for Good Times in the Island Year, you didn't know.
You didn't
Because,
know.
you know, certain radio stations had the commercials. It's Speaks always had commercials, but not all the clubs did. You know, now you got
it was pot-
Facebook and everything
Well,
else.
it was potluck.
Right.
You go to the club just expecting to hear a good band, and you most.
That's
most
how
of
I
the time
found
you-
Wi-Fi.
Well, the bands also
We lucked
had,
out. You know, yeah.
the bands, every band had their hotline, right, with the answering machine. At least we did.
Or a mailing
We did.
Yeah, mailing list.
Mailing list, too.
Actual
Yeah.
mail.
Yes, somebody had to.
We
you know,
actually
buy
wrote out
stamps.
the addresses.
Right.
But you could actually leave messages on that hotline.
The hotline.
We saved some of the tapes. You would not
Oh,
believe
God, I
some
can
of the
imagine.
messages on there.
Well, in the
Unbelievable.
limited amount of time that we got left, I'd like to wrap up by having each of the bands share maybe a favorite incident from back in the day. But I also would like to, for the other members that aren't here, and original members as well as past members, current members, let's give all of them props too. So let's start with Rat Race Choir. Larry and Mark Hitt, you guys were in the original version of the band. Tell us the other guys that are going to be playing on that stage that night.
Well, there's going to be Steve Longo,
And
Mark Hicks, and Dave Camella, and myself.
Okay. And is there any other guys that we had in the band currently? Because I know there's another iteration of Rat Race out.
Yes, there is, with Adam Snyder on drums and Craig Weinberg on guitar.
Cool. So if you miss this chance, make sure you get a chance to
Yes.
see the guys down the
'Cause
road.
They're still going. You know.
And then Zebra, of course, it's still the three, but you were talking about all the guys that were parts of the puzzle back in the day.
Yeah, we had, before we were Zebra, we had, a keyboard player, but we called ourselves Maelstrom at the time. It was.
Didn't know that.
that's very appropriate.
That's what everybody said. What's that name? Yeah, we figured we'd be cute. There was a poem by Edgar Allan Poe called Into the Maelstrom. And
Yes,
so I said,
okay.
wow, the Maelstrom. And then all of a sudden the jokes started to come. Oh, how do you strum a mail? And it was like.
There's a metal band called Maelstrom now.
Is there? Is there? But anyway, yeah, we had a poster and it had like a whirlpool on it, and a maelstrom's just where ships would go down. But anyway, that's besides the point, But
It works.
we had that, and then the keyboard player left, and this is a great story. Because he wanted it to be a progressive rock band, so we were doing like Yes, and we were doing some, and he didn't want to get into like dance music. And unfortunately, when we started doing gigs, and this is down in New
Who
Orleans,
else want to dance?
yeah, people want to dance, so we had to learn something in order to get some of these dance gigs. Well, he just refused. So he would drink heavily. He's playing the keyboards, and we're all of a sudden we're playing Suffragette City, and I'm hearing something's not right, and I look over at him, and he's just smiling at me and playing the keyboard, and he had this tooth. That he could pop out. He hadn't had it, capped properly with the glue. And I went over to him. I said, Tim, Suffragette City. And he looks at me. He goes, no, Tull. He's playing Aqualog while we're playing Suffragette City. And it was, from there was.
You're out of the band.
Well, no, he left. He quit.
He quit?
We didn't kick him out. He just didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. He
well,
says, I'm not playing this crap.
I think you're
It's
doing
suffer
fine as a
along.
trio.
Yeah, well, it worked out. But I just saw
cry
Tim
you
the
a
other day,
Oh, that's
It's funny. I
funny.
ran into him
You
on
get
a
that
plane.
tooth fixed yet?
Oh, yeah, he's doing very well. Bank president now,
Well, there you go.
Spit the tooth out when he tried to say Tull.
No, he pulled it out to make me laugh because he went, Tull, and then he goes, and he's got like a big black spot. It was funny.
That's great.
Funny stuff.
Rick, Whitefire, man, back in the day,
Yes.
all the members.
Yeah, all right. So we've had a couple of different versions of the band over the years, but the lineup that's playing for this gig is, first I got to mention Bonnie Parker. She was in that.
Yeah, she burned down Rum Bottoms.
She burned down Rum Bottoms. I think Bonnie. Everybody here knows Bonnie Parker well. Back in the day, she really was the queen of Long Island rock and roll.
Great talent.
Yeah, she's an amazing person, fantastic player, and we're honored, absolutely honored to have her playing with us for this gig. She's actually played with us numerous times, and she's a real pleasure. She's a real pro, and you guys are gonna, the audience is gonna really enjoy seeing her live, doing her thing. So the lineup that we have, instead of going back and talking about everybody that's
we had, when I started band, it was Richie
Right.
and Bones and Doc, which is Dean.
Right.
And then you had Scott on the drums, Nigley.
Right.
He's the guy that gave me my name, Fingers. And then Roy singing.
Right.
And then you on the rhythm guitar. And then Richie left.
Right.
And Henry came in, who we named Biff.
Right.
And then Scott, well, then you turned into the Boips.
You're gonna
We're
go
not
down that road?
We're not going to go Who's playing this night?
Please do.
All I remember is the Boips playing at Spies, and I'm like, oh my God.
that's a whole another story. But Scott left the band, and he was our drummer, and then we brought Vic in.
Right.
So that's the last lineup as it existed before the band broke up is actually performing at this show, but with Bonnie on bass because
Because Bones.
Bones lives in Florida and he can't make it up for the show.
Okay.
So Bonnie is kind of she's really a member of the band. at
She's
this
the
point. Yeah.
fifth Whitefire.
Yeah, she's a member of the band now. So So are we sharing stories that we wanted to?
No, because we
tell?
got to
haven't got to
go to
Joel.
Joel.
Oh, okay, all right. So
And we
okay.
didn't get a chance to tell a story
Right.
either.
Story time will wrap up this gig.
Story time may actually end us all. So from the original members of Vixen, it was George Deano on bass, Steve on keyboards, Ernie Lake, who was great on drums, and Billy Douglas
Yeah,
on lead vocals.
love Billy.
Oh my
Oh, so
Wow.
God. Yes.
Billy's
That's
out in
a blast from the
California now.
it's out in California.
So now who are we going to see on stage this night?
We'll see George, we'll see Steve, maybe Ernie,
Mhm.
little surprise there, and you'll
Not
see
anymore.
me.
Have you heard from
So-
Billy?
yes.
How is he?
I was in touch with him
Hopefully
on
he's
Facebook.
doing well.
Yeah, he is.
Hopefully he's
I've
doing
been
well.
following him on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And he
So,
seems to have really done
yeah,
better.
I mean, he was a tremendously talented guy and still is.
Yeah, he got a record deal with Shooting Gallery.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so back when the record labels were scrambling to find the next hard rock act.
Right. And band was great too.
Mhm.
So, then
Cool,
once again,
so-
hopefully he's doing well.
So now we know who's going to be on the stages.
Before you go further, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and it just came to my mind, that when Guy had cancer in 1997, we did several gigs
Mhm.
with a couple of different drummers.
Okay.
Bobby Ronanelli played for a while.
Great
and,
drummer.
And we did some gigs with Mike Sorrentino.
Okay.
And then we actually did a gig with one of our road crew, Joe Libretti. He played drums on one show. So, they really helped get us through that period. Guy was out for quite a while.
Another name that comes to mind in your circle, who may or may not be at this gig, Chili Willie.
Chili Willie, I would be. What's wrong with me? Check me. Yeah, Chili Willie's been playing sax with us since the late '80s, and he came in and he actually did a song on the fourth Zebra record. So yeah, Chili Willie, and I think Chili is going to be there.
Oh, cool.
I'm hoping he can make it. Yep.
All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up with story time. So I would like each one of you, as a group or an individual member of the group, share one of your favorite clubs, an incident at that club, or a favorite gig, no matter where it was, whether a club or an event. And just to give people a picture of some of the fun, silly, crazy, maybe even scary stuff that used to go on back in the day. Let's start with Rick. Please, quiet. Go ahead.
What do you want to tell him?
Oh, I don't know. You want to go first?
No. We're going to take this up. You and me are going to pick.
My
pick-
favorite club is Speeds.
I'm pleased with that.
Absolutely. But it's when it was designed where it had all the crisscross, the trellis, all
And the
lattice
gazebo.
work,
Right,
and the
right.
gazebos, and
Right.
the
Did you
hanging
get lost
plants.
in there?
We did. Very well. And I'm telling you, on breaks, people used to go to the dressing room, and we would meet, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's got the amphetamines, this one's got the weed.
Yeah.
Okay, we want so much of this, and you're like wheeling and dealing in the dressing room. When you finish, you walked out, you'd walk across by the stage and go into that area where they had the bar or whatever that food thing. That food thing. There were people that actually ordered from there, but you went up those stairs, and there were all these little alcoves of
Yep.
like, okay, you could go in there, and it was like,
And not come out.
go
was
in
like
there,
a maze, man.
and no, it was a spelling bee because all of a sudden it was, oh, you want me?
A smelling bee? Is that what
And what would happen is they'd say, come on, you got some time. He goes, yeah. No, my name is Lawrence, not Larry. You're gonna spell it out. Okay, let's have it. While that was going on, somebody would be like reaching like over the seat, and they're like, and they're like, you're saying, who is this? I just want to make out with you. and there was time we had sex back there.
I was never there. I was never there for that.
In the club, like in front of everybody.
So it was true. It's a sex and drugs rock and roll era. Kids
Oh.
don't do drugs.
Excellent.
And I guess it is in that order.
I met some wonderful singers and dancers and performers.
Joel's hiding under the
He's
table.
under the table.
Yeah, that was
I know they dropped the 8-ball down there. Okay.
those were the stories back in the day.
What?
Right.
I never. Well,
What? No, I was remembering the Mad Hatter when we would play the Mad Hatter in East Quogue, and on Sundays there was a band, or actually a duo, that would play called Frankie and Johnny, and they would play Sunday afternoons where they would sell beer by the Dixie cup. And the Dixie cups were about the size of the Dixie cups that you would get in the bathroom. However, each one, you would get 5 for a quarter, which meant
nickel
you bought
beers.
20 for $1. Now, just imagine that. That's 100 for a $5 bill. So people not only were out of their gourds on beer, they would buy beer just to have a fight with it. You would just take a whole tray and you would put it on somebody's head. And we would walk into this. We would come directly from the beach.
Yeah.
To get and we would have jellyfish in our trunks, and we'd be getting on stage with sand in our hair and everything else, and we would have to wade through 6 inches of beer to get there.
Oh, God.
Do you
That
remember
sounds like Sundance.
Do you remember that they always played "God Bless America"? Was it Kate Smith? God bless
Yes.
And I got to the point while we were setting up equipment, it must have played, I'm not exaggerating, probably 35 times in a row. Like they just had the switch on. And I got so nuts with it, finally I just said, shut up, that's enough. And I jumped onto the jukebox and started riding it, and it went across the room, spinning around, and I'm so pissed.
Well, you know what that meant? That meant that even though the fat lady sang, it wasn't over.
No kidding.
All
No
right,
kidding.
Randy,
Well,
your favorite time?
Well, one of my favorite stories about us coming to New York, was when we first got up here. We got on the Southern State Parkway. We had 2 vehicles. We had a van and we had a truck, big box truck. And we didn't know any better. And we're behind. We're in the van behind the truck, and the truck is going over the little arches.
Under the overpass.
The overpasses, and I'm saying, if they were in the right lane or the left lane, that truck would be toast. And so we pull up next to them, said, pull over, so pulled over, and then, of course, later we were told that, shouldn't be doing that. Well, we end up playing up at a place called Detroit. Well, it wasn't even Detroit. It wasn't Detroit. What was it before Detroit?
Club 21?
Deep State Charlie's.
No.
It was Corvettes, I think.
No, it was before
Happy Days.
Happy Days, right?
Happy Days.
Okay.
Right?
Bruce Fisher.
Right. It was Bruce.
DAZE, by the way.
Right.
So it
right.
was one of
That's
our
right.
earliest gigs, and we were playing up at the Happy Days, and Bruce actually invited Gary Gittleson, who was our light man, to drive the truck to his house. Yeah, stay with me. You don't have to drive all the way back to Long Island. And of course, Gary's driving in the truck, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he comes to, this time it's just a flat train thing, it's about 10 point.
It's a trestle.
Trestle. Drove it right under. We heard about it, it took the whole top of the truck off. And next time I saw it, can opener.
Yeah.
And they put it in to the truck like it was a cigarette. So you had the whole top of the truck rolled up. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And that's how we made money up here in New York. But some of my favorite times were at Speaks and the Mad Hatter in Stony Brook. Those were the places that I think I had the best times. When we play here, and there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. Like what Larry said kind of speaks for the whole.
Glen Island was the other place that
Yeah.
my favorite. Oh.
Yeah. So.
Rick.
Okay, well, I guess I have a couple of stories. One is real
stick
quick.
with one.
All right, but one is real.
Time
One
crunch.
is real quick. But I've been thinking back, and I have to say, for us, Rum Bottoms was home base. That was our home base, and a lot of crazy stuff went down there. They had the
Including
the ladies-
flash powder.
well, Bonnie Parker burned the first version of it down. They had that's where I believe ladies drink free nights started,
Yeah, they had
and
t-shirt
they had the wet T-shirt contests there, and but we had a lot of fun playing in that club. But my stories come from 2 different places. One was the Good Times Cafe in Norwalk, Connecticut, and we had just learned Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and our first drummer Scott Neglia, who's a very good friend of mine still, he was taking the lead vocal on it. Right, the place was packed. Right, we get introduced by the DJ, who was a DJ on one of the radio stations up there, and the song starts, and we did the Elton John version of it, the new version, right? And Scott goes, and he completely blanked. Completely blanked to the point that he fell off his throne, drummer's throne, and hid behind the bass drum. And he wouldn't get up. Scott, come on, man, you got to sing this song. So we had to nix that song. He finally got back up on the kit, and then we played the second song of the set.
Holy jeez.
Yeah, which was hysterical.
Well, Scott loves you telling this
Yeah,
story.
absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Scott. The other story is it's a pretty neat story. We got booked at Hammerheads to open for Twisted Sister. Kevin Brenner did this to us, and we're like, oh no. Playing in front of a Twisted Sister audience, we're doomed. Right, and then we kind of rallied a little bit and said we decided that we're just going to, go for the gusto, and it was packed. There was, I don't know, thousands of people
Yeah, I
there.
remember
It was
that.
a big club, and we actually pulled it off. It took a few songs to get the audience to warm up to us, but we actually won the crowd over, and we had our own fans there, but it was all Twisted Sister, and by the end of the set, they were going crazy. And to his credit, after our set, I'll never forget it, he probably won't remember this, but Dee came over to our dressing room and said to us, guys, that was unbelievable. It's the first time that he's ever seen an opening band win over their audience.
Cool.
Which was to us, I mean, we were big fans of Twisted Sisters. Like, that was an honor to hear that,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, because they had a rabid fan base.
I'll tell you, Mark, we were so nervous about that gig. When Kevin Brenner told us,
Rightfully so.
we thought, are you kidding? Are you kidding? And now he goes, I know you guys can do it. So, but those are my stories.
Very cool. And Vixen, Mr. Joel, what do you got?
Vixen keeps stories a little bit low profile, but some of my favorite clubs, even though you said one, Cheers we used to love.
Oh, God,
Oh,
Cheers,
yeah,
yes.
And
There's some Metallica there.
it's a great club. The Mad Hatter in Stony Brook has to be up there, and I don't know. No one mentioned the Hammerheads, the big Hammerheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the two bands on the stage.
Right, the
which
giant
was
octopus DJ booth, the
That-
ships that were bars.
great. Right.
When the place was packed, the bars looked like they were floating in a sea of people.
You couldn't even hear the band from the other room. It was
Right.
so big, that place. It was just that was a real golden era.
There was a band in the other room?
There was
I
another
didn't even
room.
know there was another room. It was such a tremendous day. That whole era of Long Island was just, you could write books about it. It was just phenomenal. As far as stories, it's just gonna be like a regular easy story here. My daughter plays softball, and I was at one of the games. It just gives kind of an idea of what it was like back then. So I'm hanging out, I'm watching her, and I talked to the guy next to me. His daughter was playing also, and we all of a sudden we spoke about the Mad Hatter in Stony Brook. And he goes, "Yeah, I used to work there." I go, "Yeah, I used to play there." He goes, "Oh, what band?" I said, "Vixen." He goes, "Vixen?" He goes, "Joel?" And then we connected. He goes, "My job was to fill up the gigantic garbage cans filled with beer for you guys to make sure you had enough beer in there."
Hey, good to reconnect
Right,
with you.
yeah, right. It's like, hey, what's going on? Like every set, I'd have to come in and make sure it was filled to the top with ice.
Oh,
That's awesome.
It was a good story.
Yeah,
That's a
that is a good
day,
story.
too. I remember with my personal interaction with each of the bands. With Rat Race, I just remember loving the music, and for some reason, always making eye contact with you and always getting a smile and a reaction.
Yeah.
And that just was like cool to kind of feel noticed. You felt like you mattered when the band
Well,
noticed you.
figures
acknowledged
between you and me, when we met, I felt like I knew you already. Probably because we stare at each other. When you in front of me and I'm playing, I said, yeah, I guess I do know him.
Who is this?
That is funny.
One of my fondest memories with Zebra is and there's a bunch of them, but I think is when it's two short ones. One, when we recorded you, and this was before I actually started working, when BAB recorded your concert at the Hammerheads and aired it.
No, the Mad Hatter.
Oh, the Mad
Hatter in
the Mad
Stony
Hatter
Brook.
show.
Yep.
And it was Zebra on the radio,
Right.
being played. I thought that was cool. And the other time was not even about seeing you. I was in California, and I had the radio on, and Who's Behind the Door came on the radio.
And you're
And
on
I
the
was
other
like,
side of the earth. Yeah.
They made it, and then you opened up for Aerosmith at the Coliseum, and I was like, they're going. Whitefire, I got too many memories. Most of them will get me arrested. But being able to go to I found Whitefire by going to Rum Bottoms because I used to go there to see a band called the 60's. and they did 60s music, and it was either them or Kavetsky.
Kavetsky.
And
I remember the
you know,
60s.
and
Yeah.
Stan
Yeah,
Anderson
they were.
would play there and stuff.
Anderson, I remember.
Yeah.
And one night the
Do you
60s
remember
were
the
supposed
80s?
to play, and they were sick, and here's this band Whitefire. And from that first show on, I used to go every time. And then, the thing with the microphone and everything, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And then just the good times of Vixen being at Beggar's Opera, and Billy would come over and always ask me while you guys were setting up to play the Grassroots. And I'm like, you're going to get up there and you're going to do, make a circuit with me or some shit. And you want me to play the Grassroots sooner or later, And I was like, that's cool because it's a wide taste in music, And it was all about the camaraderie, the fun, fighting the good fight, entertaining our friends and following our passions. And here we are 40 some odd years later, and we're going to do it again.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And by the way, you had said something about even if you're 70, come out. If you're over 70, come out.
If you're
Depending,
in a
if you
wheelchair,
if you're feeling it and you think this is going to give you a B12 shot, I know it's giving me one.
There you go.
Come on out and get it.
Yeah,
I
we
agree.
need younger fans. We need the older fans coming out. We want these 50s fans.
Mark, Rat Race Choir, thank you very much.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Randy,
Thank you.
Zebra, thank you. Rick Muser,
My
Whitefire,
pleasure.
Vixen, my boy. Joel, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Get your tickets in advance. December 1st, December 2nd. Rat Race Choir, Zebra, Whitefire, featuring Bonnie Parker and Vixen. And check WBAB.com how to get your tickets. Don't get left out in the cold because this thing is going to sell out these 2 nights. Thanks for watching. Thanks for
Thanks,
coming.
Here,
Fingers.
here. Thanks for having us.
Love you, man.